What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P here with another episode of Steelers Touchdown Under. On today's episode, we are reviewing the Steelers' win over the Browns 27-14 to go 3-1 on the AFC North. This year, in 2024, the Steelers go 10-3 on the season. Mike Tomlin, 19 games in a row without a loss at Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. That's the key point. That is incredible. Russell Wilson and the Steelers and the defense gets it done without George Pickens. Huge win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is it. 4 games to go. 2 more divisional. 2 matchups against the Eagles and the Chiefs. It's going to be massive. The Steelers right now, with the Bills' loss as well, the Steelers are in a crazy position of where they're sitting at 10-3, equals second in the AFC. Incredible season for the Steelers, and let's just hope that this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's only going to get better from here. All right, on today's episode, we are going to talk about how the Steelers got their victory. We're going to talk about did they deliver on the 5 keys to victory that we talked about before the game, and then also who were some standouts from a player perspective. Let's get straight into it. So, looking at, we'll start off from the team perspective. The Steelers, first downs, I said that we wanted to see 20-30% more. They didn't have that. They only had 15 to the Browns, 20 first downs. So that's the first key to victory. Fail. Third down efficiency, 3rd and 4th combined, we set as close to 50% as possible. They weren't near that. They were under 45%, between 40 and 45%. Rough math off the top of my head, 6 from 14. So failed in that key to victory as well. They still got the victory though. I said I want to see a minimum of 4 sacks, but certainly over 2. But the sack number needed to be at least 2 different to what the Steelers had. The Steelers were sacked once for 11 yards with Russell Wilson. The Steelers sacked Jameis Winston 3 times for 16 yards. So that is in favor of the Steelers. They did hit that key to victory. So 1 out of 3 so far. I also said they needed to destroy the run game for the Browns. Now, they allowed 104 yards on 25 rushing attempts for 4.2. So that was more than last time. That's right. That was more than last time in terms of yardage, in terms of average. But the difference being is that they actually didn't allow a single TD on the rushing side of things through the run game. And that is the thing I said. Steelers couldn't allow that. I'm happy to give away more yards if you also don't concede more touchdowns. So that's the second key to victory. So they're 2 from 4. And then we talked about, in terms of the possession, being able to dominate that, it was pretty much even, exactly 30-30 split. Pretty crazy there. And then I also talked about big plays and needing to continue that. And the Steelers did have some good drives. They did have some good plays. Passing yards was a lot less with only 147. Russ completed 15 from 26. Rush yards was 120. And they had 35 rushing attempts, so the average was 3.4. But they got the win. They got the win despite, I'm going to say they got 2.5 of the 5 keys to victory, but the Steelers got the win, and that is the most important thing on the record. But there's still definitely a lot of room for improvement. As Mike Tomlin likes to say, it's always good to take away and have learnings and get things to work on, but do so with a win. So really, really positive about what that looked like from that perspective. All right, let's move over to in terms of the player evaluations. Player evaluations, Russell Wilson, 15 from 26, as I said, so it's above 50%. There, it's actually a lot better than that. It's just under the sort of the 70% mark, or 71%, I think it is off the top of my head. 2 TDs, no interceptions. You can't ask more than that. I said we wanted a 3-to-1 ratio or a 2.5-to-1 ratio, but there's no interception there. So it's not bad with the 2 TDs. You'll take it in a hard-fought AFC North matchup. Then you got Najee Harris, 53 yards or 16 carries for 1 TD. Jalen Warren looked really good, 9 from 47. So that was a real plus. And when Russ had to run, he did well as well. A couple of times he had to sort of to cop it near the line of scrimmage. But he had a couple of really nice scrambles at the same time. Without Garrett, without George Pickens, the Steelers did pretty well. They spread the ball a lot. 15 receptions spread across multiple amount of guys. So that was kind of interesting to see them actually have to be forced in this position before the playoffs. They sent it to 9. They targeted 9 different guys, but only 15 receptions of these 24 targets to the 9 different guys. Patty Freeman, Scotty Miller, Mike Williams all had 3 each. Jalen Warren had 2. 1 TD to Jefferson, 1 TD to Patty Freeman. I love the TD he caught. Muth was just killing it. So Muth gets, like, I guess probably gets my offensive player of the game today, actually, with his yardage and his key TD. 3 from 3 as well, targets, touchdowns, and that's hard against a Browns team that pride themselves on stopping tight ends as much as possible. On defense, I'd love to give the shout out to Cameron Hayward with, like 2 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 3 solo tackles. That is huge from a guy his age, huge from a guy and his position. But I've also got to hand it to Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun Elliott is always in there doing stuff, and he is one of the most astute buys on this team this offseason. I said Dante Jackson would get 5 to 7 interceptions this season, but Deshaun Elliott was probably my favorite, like, sort of pick overall the free agents on defense, more so than Queen. Because, and more so than any of the guys they drafted or got through the rookie process with, like Beanie Bishop, for example, who had a lot of tackles in this game. But Deshaun Elliott continues to be a linchpin for this defense. He allows Minka to do Minka things. And the thing about Deshaun Elliott is he's in there whether it's coverage, he's in there if it's big tackles. He is just an unsung hero, and these are the sort of players you need if you are going to go on a Super Bowl run. So Deshaun Elliott gets a massive defensive player of the game today, kind of thing for me. Alex Highsmith made his presence felt, but also to the point where he got penalized. I don't mind that. He was putting a lot of pressure on the Browns. He was coming back from injury. I don't mind that being a bit like sort of first week back, a lot of energy, a lot of effort there. Keanu Benton is in the image for the thumbnail for this video. Keanu Benton had a great game overall. I thought the interception was just showed his athleticism, showed he was in there. They tried to stop him a lot because he did show up in the previous game. So he only had that 1 tackle, but when you got that interception, you showed that athleticism and make the most of what a tip ball was look like at a key moment in the game. Without that interception, things might have been a lot tighter. Particularly because of the way the Steelers played through the back end of the 4th anyway on offense. Keanu Benton gets absolute credit there. Massive credit where credit is due. 2 field goals from Boz. Bang in on the money. It's looking good. Of course, Waitman, I thought, had a really good game as well for the most part. 1 in the 20, 60 long. He averaged over 50. He averaged over 52 yards per punt. So that's pretty cool. Like just shy of 50, just shy more of 52. So really quite a comprehensive game from the Steelers. And again, I wouldn't say they were stellar on offense, stellar on defense, stellar on special teams, although I did love Skoranek getting the ball back after the fumble that he had on offense. But this is why people starting to talk about Steelers Super Bowl team. All 3 phases were good enough to beat the Browns, and all 3 phases were good enough to be like, if you were to give the weighting at least a minimum of 60-40 better than the Browns, or like 70-30 better than the Browns. And this is the thing. This is how you win games when you're not on song, or this is how you win games when you're missing a key weapon like a George Pickens. So really excited about where this team are headed. Can't wait to see what happens in the weeks to come. Got more coming out in the channel this week. We are starting to get back into the regular swing of things. Apologies that it's been all over the place this season, particularly the last sort of month or so. But we are going to get back into the big swing of things. But you let me know in the comments, does Patty Freeman deserve player of the game on offense? And who is your defensive player of the game? I'm interested to see what different people thought because I've heard different things coming out of it. But as always, go Steelers.